So thanks for having me. I know I've brought you data.census.gov and microdata access and even the API to several of the SDC networks. I know we've talked to data.census.gov at your New Mexico State Center before. This time. We just have a short time. I just want to really focus in on some things that people don't necessarily know how to use, but is actually really powerful when they do, is the mapping. So we wanted to just look at a few examples of mapping. Show you how to do it. We understand it's not super intuitive and you really kind of need a little hand holding before you're able to use it. But then once you do use it, I think in some cases people found it, quite helpful. So I wanted to give you that option to do that. So first off, just a quick update, some things that we have been doing on data.census.gov. We are the Census Bureau's main dissemination platform, but we're still developing, growing based on the things that y'all have said that you'd like to see and things that are needed. One of the things we're really trying to focus on are navigational updates. We've taken a lot of feedback and from surveys, emails, and conferences just like this one, where people talk about things that they like and don't like or things that we need help on. There's a lot of things with navigation or just kind of usability issues that we're trying to start working on and really trying to focus and zero in on what people are having issues with. So one of the things that we're trying to look at, kind of sprinkling some help text, help buttons throughout the site. As the person that works on communication and outreach, of course, I would love that. So hoping that that's something that we're going to end up doing. We also have been doing updates on look and feel. You might notice that the site maybe looks a little different than how you saw it before, even from the white and navy and different color shades of blue to just now more of a black and white look. That is in an effort to mimic the census.gov refresh that they've done in the last several weeks. So that's one thing. We're also working on some mapping enhancements. So what I'm going to show you today is not the final iteration, but it is the basic kind of functionality. But I think they're trying to make things a little bit easier. The legend has some problems as well as trying to choose those variables. So trying to work through some of those. So we are working on that. And then as always, we're right in the midst of releasing the decennial data. We just recently released the island area profiles in October, and whereas we're marching forward and releasing more, that's always kind of in the forefront. So from here, I just wanted to do a quick mapping demo of two different ways of using our maps that we hear either questions about or personally, in my opinion, is a great way of using maps. The first one is to show you how to find some data using housing tenure data. I wanted to be able to show you how to use the single search bar as well as using the filter panel. There's two different ways of accessing data.census.gov data. And so showing these table IDs for housing tenure, you do not need to know them. You can just look under housing or use the drop downs, but just showing you that if you do know those table IDs, you can use them. And then trying to find a block group in Hobbs, New Mexico. Now, most people do not know their block group. Most people don't know their tract. Some people don't even know the congressional district they're in, but that's fine. That's why maps are a great source of being able to find some of those data, especially if you can use a detailed map with those great address or street addresses and that type of thing that you can really kind of zero in on and what that geographic entity is. So show you how to do that. And then the second thing is just kind of looking at how you can look at different geographies. And of course, we're going to be looking at American Indian areas, Alaska Native areas, and the Hawaiian homelands in New Mexico, and show you how to do some within features since those tribal areas cross state boundaries and how you can actually look at them within New Mexico. So showing you that as well. All right, so I'm going to go to the first one. I talked about using a single search bar of two table IDs of B25014, B25044. Now, those are just housing tenure data. Again, if you don't know how to use that, we could definitely use the drop downs, but trying to find a block group in Hobbs, New Mexico. All right, so hopefully we won't have any technical difficulties as I get out of this and get to our website. All right, so here is the website at data.census.gov. What I've mentioned, that you might notice some changes in kind of the look and feel. We're also trying to unearth a little bit ways of showing people easier ways of kind of using the single search bar so that you're not always a slave to this advanced search, which takes you to those drop downs and the filtering, although a lot of people still like the advanced search. So, and that's fine. Just showing you ways to find the single search, kind of showing maybe a geography, maybe a year if you have it, and then definitely a topic is always a great way. And then you scroll down and you can find additional information, all the way down to more frequently asked questions and also our information on feedback. So this is kind of that look and feel update. But let's go ahead and jump into that example. So looking at housing data, tenure data, we said it was B25014. All you do is put a space and then you can add another one. So it's not just one, B25044. You could put as many as, probably don't put too many, but you could put a couple in there and press enter, and then those two tables come up. Now it does give us a profile of the United States, which is great. That's maybe or maybe not exactly what we were looking for. Let me see a little better. There you go. Maybe it's what we were looking. It's not. We're looking for block group data in Hobbs, New Mexico. So it's definitely not what we were looking for, but that gives us the opportunity to then go to the filter and then geography and find our from there. But let me just show you the tables that you can look and make sure and see if this is the right table. We're assuming these tenure tables are what you're looking for. Great. So we can go back and then using these cursors, there's carrots, I guess is what their appropriate name is. You can go back and see and collapse things as needed. But from here, I'm going to go to geography and pull up the geography panel. Now, this has changed some since maybe the last time that you've seen it. And we've shown 9 of our most commonly used geographies. It is by no means all of the most commonly used ones, but it's just kind of some of the commonly used ones. And then from here, you can scroll down and see all the rest of them. And then if you do have kind of remnants of AFF where everything was based on summary level codes, if you do know those codes, you can always use this toggle and then click on here and know that county is 050. Great, you can see it's the same way that what's under county for right here. Anyway, well, we know we want to go to Hobbs, New Mexico, so I'm going to go ahead and click on place. I'm going to scroll down to New Mexico. And then I can scroll, or I can type in Hobbs right here and make sure that you check the open box. If you check it, then you see on the left-hand side that it's been added to this filter. And that's what you kind of need to know to have a kind of a sanity check to make sure as you're going in and selecting things in these drop downs, what's been added or not. All right, so from here, I am going to switch over to maps. And then this is where the maps, and then definitely what I'm hoping they'll start working on is how just the real estate of the maps. So if you look, obviously we need to do a little information because this thing right there is what I'm looking for. But I'm going to zoom in to hopefully be able to see it a little bit better, and that helps. And now I have Hobbs from here. But what I'd like to do is I'm looking for a block group in my area and I don't know it. So I'm going to do a few things with the maps that are available to help me get my information. So the first, I'm going to click on base map. And it's right now it's at a basic. You can choose the starkness of none, but I'm never going to do that. I'm always going to look at the details. I want to see where the the parks and the streets and the local airports are and that type of thing. So I'm going to click on detailed. And then from here, I can scroll. I can go in and start looking at some of these streets to see. So there's East Seminole Highway. Great. I scroll in here. Maybe I'm actually at, oops, as far as I can go. And maybe I'm actually at the intersection of East Clinton Street and 62. That's right where I am. So great. I found what I wanted to, or if maybe you're across the street, you can switch over and do whatever you want. So, but for our purposes, let's say we found what we were looking for up here in Clinton. Now from here, I still don't know what geography is. So I'm going to go in and click on my boundaries. Now this is that boundary button in the toolbar. And then it gives you all of these different layers that we have. And I am going to go to census tracts. And the first one gives me the lines, and the second one labels it. So I'm going to do census tracts, and then I'm going to do my block groups, the same thing. So since we're scrolled in so much, it might be hard to see it. So let me go back out, and now you can kind of see where those census tracts and labels have been added. And then when we go back in and we try to find, we are at 62 in Clinton, we can go in and then we can go ahead and click right there and where we wanted and go to identify. That again, I think I clicked it too soon. There we go. And then that right-hand panel will give us the identify information so that we're at block 2, census tract 4, in Lea County in New Mexico. So great, in places the hub is Hub City. So that's super helpful so that we can go in from there and look at the data for block group 2, census tract 4. So from here, I'm going to open this back up and we'll go to my geography. I'm going to go to block group, kind of do the same thing and drill down based off our information. So I'm going to go to New Mexico, go to my county. We said block group 4. No, tract 4, block group 2. So I'm going to click on that and it gets populated. From here, I'm going to go to my table, click on the table tab. Maybe shut these so that y'all can see this a little bit better. And then you see that it's been populated and it shows my track right here, my block group right here and the information that I'm looking for. I can switch tables if I'd like, and it still keeps my new geography that I've had and even has Hob City because that was the original geography that I had. And then from there, you can, export it to Excel if you want a table view, or you can zip it if you wanted to download it and have more of a machine readable file, or even print it. And the rest of the things that you can do from there, transpose, hide. If you want to take Hobbs out, you can just take that out. If really you just want your block group. That's a great way for me to be able to go in and use the map for kind of your own benefit and to use it kind of in a real world situation to be able to find your real world place and time. All right, so I'm going to click on this logo to clear everything. I'm going to go back to my questions and see what the next one is. Where did it go? There you go. All right. So now we're going to specifically use advanced search, not just the single search bar, a combination, just use advanced search. And this is where we can kind of look at things across time and geographies, especially with mapping. So I'm going to look at some health insurance data for the American Indian areas, Alaska Native areas, and Hawaiian homelands, all in New Mexico. So let me show you how to do that. All right. Excuse me. So we go back to our main page. And like I said, we can use the single search bar if we wanted to, or we could just click this small button that says advanced search. That takes you to that faceted filter experience. And you click on that and it pulls it up and shows that nothing has been selected. And that's kind of the opening for us to go in and start filtering. So we talked about, so I'm going to click on my geography and start that first. Same geography panel we saw before. Now, American Indian area, Alaska Native area, and Hawaiian homeland is not in our big 9 up here, but if you start scrolling down, you see it. I found it right here. I'm going to click on that. And then it pulls it up because it's not state specific, like counties are, so that everything's kind of nested under there, that's nested under the US. And so you're going to see everything here. But with this button here that says within other geographies, you can click on this and it allows for state. So you click on state and then you can pull up, oh, hold on, let me see. What did I do wrong? State, and then from state, and then you can go to New Mexico. And then it shows all of the different area entities that are available within New Mexico, and I can choose one specifically if I wanted to, or I could go ahead and choose this collection of all of them within New Mexico. So I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to go down, and before I go search, we also wanted to look at a topic of health insurance. So I'm going to click on topic. I'm going to go to health. Please take a minute to look at these. Some of these things are not necessarily where you think that it should be left as far as our, what's in their population and people and that type of thing. So just take a look, find health insurance, and that is right there. And you see that it's been populated. You could also leave it at that and search, or if you know something specific, sometimes people really do know their surveys, American Community Survey, choose 5-year. You could even choose detailed tables. Sometimes that matters, especially if if you're looking at wanting a detailed table and everything else is what rises to the top are tables that have a lot of percentages in them, and they might be more of a higher level estimate than you're looking for, and might be really looking for those details of detailed tables. So you might do this. Again, you don't have to. It's just always and I'm going to look. So the first table is age by disability status of health insurance coverage, not necessarily I'm looking for. And the second one is B27001, which is a basic health insurance coverage status by sex by age. Click on this one and we can check and see what it's looking for. It breaks things up by sex and age, and then from there with or without health insurance, and that sounds great. Looking for males 26 to 34 with health insurance, and here's my estimate. And then I can go across and see all of the estimates returned for all of these tribal areas. However, from here, it's a nice way to go to the map and see these things visually. So from here, I can pull up the map, and it might be a little bit, I'd love for this, this legend to be either movable or where I can collapse it, but it's not. So let me show you. As you scroll out, you can see, scroll in, and you can start seeing all of these. Now they're getting their labels as you move in and out of these tribal areas. And now some basic things from the map. We've already talked about things that you can change, kind of the base layer of the map, and you can see the areas that kind of go across state lines. You can change the year if you'd like to see what it looks like from another year to this year. Sometimes you don't see a ton of changes, but those things are always great. Also, our variable list is a really big thing because the table has all kinds of different estimates in it. We want to be able to choose the estimate that we're looking for. And it's under this, I'm not sure what that symbol is supposed to be, but it says variables. So you click on that and it pulls up the first one with a drop down. So you can scroll down until we get to our 34, what was it, 26 to 34 with health insurance. So it's right there. Or you can type in something like 26 to 34 and press enter, and those come up. And you can find the one with health insurance for males, 26 to 34 with health insurance estimate. I click on that and then it repopulates with the information. And it's always nice. You can go down and maybe look at what female is if you'd like to see the contrast. So that's a nice way of kind of looking at some stuff. You can also go in, change the classes if you were interested in to do different, to quantile from the natural breaks. You can change the color if you want to do orange or something like that, whatever you want. And then you can also do, boundaries if you'd like to go in and look at places, or any of those other things can be added as well. From there, where you can see the place boundaries as well as these tribal areas. And then find maybe what you are looking for. And then from here, you can click on the identify and it'll give you that additional information. Hickory Apache, if you'd like to see that one, or you can move over to Taos Pueblo and identify from there. So nice different ways of being able to kind of use this in a different way that's not super intuitive, but we're working on it. But hopefully that kind of gives you some inspiration to find some things and to use the mapping features a little bit more. So last thing I'm going to show you is just our help area. It's this small button right here that says help. This takes you to our resource page that we also were updated in the migration and with census.gov. So we're working on kind of making sure that's a little more standardized from the content that was in there before. But this gives you all kinds of information on the left panel from people learn in so many different ways, from PDFs to videos to webinars, all of those things, this guidance on the left-hand side. Videos, how to find them, video tutorials, this featured one, even the ones that we have from latest release of the 2020 Island area information, webinars. And then if you actually go back to the data.census.gov resource page, there is a click for outreach. I'm going to click on this because if you are interested in additional information on our mapping, we have a mapping workshop. So under data.census.gov workshops, we have a basic workshop, an advanced workshop, we have a mapping one, and then in the new year, we will have an API workshop as well as a microdata access or MDAT1. These are long, they're hands-on, they're 3 hours, and I know it's quite a commitment, but if you're interested in it, please let us know, and you can sign up for some of these things. Or drop us a line if something like a webinar or a shorter training or maybe a video and you can't find it, it's more your liking. But please let us know. We're always here to help. And the last thing, I guess, is if you're looking for email updates, we do have a newsletter that comes out monthly about our latest and greatest and what we're doing on our site. You're welcome to sign up. And then the last is, as always, please stay connected. I'd love to hear from you. I know many of you send us emails, and we're delighted that you provide us feedback and that you're reaching out when you have questions, because we don't want you struggling to find your data. We're here to help you. So please let us know how we can help. And with that, I guess, I don't know if it's giving to Barb or whom it should be.
Well, I'll kind of take over. And
Okay.
if there's any questions on the floor in Albuquerque itself, can somebody please, or Rianne maybe, relay them to us? And anyone who is on Teams with us, if you would like to unmute and ask a question, please raise your hand and we'll call on you.
Did you guys have any questions? And we can relay them. I think Rianne can type them if we need to.
We can hear you, Sue.
Oh, you can hear me? Oh, cool. We have
Yeah.
it here. Give me a
Cool.
second.
We just can't hear the audience. So we got to come through you to us.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. For the information on American Indian reservations, for example, the Navajo Nation, does the information stop at the state boundary line, or does it include the entire reservation boundary?
It includes the entire reservation boundary.
But keep
I
that in
think-
mind. You actually can pull just the New Mexico side and just the Arizona side and just the Utah side. But there's a way to do that, and I can show you later. Go ahead. Do we have another question? I have another question here. Just a second. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for asking that question about the Navajo Nation. I also do have another question regarding the Navajo Nation. In the Census 2020 data, when we tried to pull it up, a lot of the communities were in the CDPs, the community designated places. Is there any way to search beyond just that geographical kind of limitation?
So trying to, I'm not sure, Susan, if I follow. You're so much better at this than I am. Making sure I understand exactly what she's asking.
So what we're looking at is when you pull the chapter houses on the tribal land. So there are a couple of different geographies that you can pull. You can pull census designated places when you use places, but you can also pull tribal census tracts and tribal blocks. And I don't think the tribes actually have a designated tribal places. So the short answer is no, you're not going to get tribal places, but you can do tribal census tracts, and you can pull when they do a census designated place for those chapter houses, those geographies are set during the participants statistical, I'm going to PSAP, participants statistical area program. I think it's PSAP, something like that. And it's done once a decade. I got to participate this year in that program, and we did try to bring more of the chapter houses in. So the people in the local community actually have to get together and say, these are our boundaries, and submit that during that program. That program runs after the local update census address file program runs during the decennial process. So it's once a decade process. So we need to engage the Navajo Nation next in 2028 to participate in that and make sure that we have all the places the way they need it. So when we pull places for tribal areas, they come up as the CDPs that you need. And so that's the long answer, but the short answer is you can pull tribal census tracts and tribal blocks or block groups, I think.
And just to clarify, when you say the tribal census, is this the data from the actual tribal census that they do separate from the census?
No. So there is the decennial census, and during that process of counting everybody, that data includes, it's the same for every location, whether you're on a tribal or you're on a non-tribal area, it's the same. So tribal censuses are kind of different. It's a different animal.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you, Susan, for I'm so afraid of giving the wrong information for it's so specific. So thank you for fielding that one. I appreciate it.
Well, and tribal areas are tough. Before you go, I wanted to just know, I had mentioned that you guys have this sort of e-letter news release, and that's what I sign on to so that I know when you guys are making changes, and then I try to pass it out to my state data center network when I see something that's really big. Yeah. So if you want to keep ahead of me, just log on to that. We have one more question back here.
Yeah. I saw the maps and I saw the tables that you just showed. On the tables, there's margin of error, but also where's the geo ID that I can retrieve to reference that in ArcGIS?
So Kanin, can you quickly go to data.census.gov and show them the map ID tool?
Yes, hold on one.
She knows exactly what I meant. But there's
So for the map ID from what specific geography do you want me to
pull up? Yeah, do the tribal.
Okay. Through like a county or?
Yeah, do McKinley County if you're pulling for New Mexico.
Let me do New Mexico. and then county. Let's go to McKinley. There we go. And then any track specific or?
No, just pull them all. Or that one's good.
That's a good one. Okay, great.
Yeah.
The things are working for us. Great. Okay, and then go to the maps. All right.
And
So
you know, the
from
DP1's a
here-
good table.
Okay, yep. Did I miss it? Let me make sure it's been added. Okay.
And it'll be at the bottom of that county.
Okay. Let me see if it hasn't
Not
popped
that
up
I have
yet.
to pull that data.
I'm trying to find your counties aren't small, so I'm trying to
You know,
find
you
out
pull
why
in
it's
the
not pausing.
2000 decennial census DP1.
Oh,
I'm gonna
that's the
change
problem.
that to
Thank you.
current data.
Yep. Hold on. Susan, next year you should just do all of this. So it's not, let me find another
Yeah, you pulled
geography.
So geographies change. This is a good
Mhm.
thing to talk about.
Good
Geographies
example.
change over time. So you
Yeah.
got to make sure you're pulling the most current
All right.
tribal data.
All right,
Susan,
so I went ahead and put 2020 in first to be the navigator. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Barb.
Susan, I was just gonna say too, I checked and you got, before I made this statement, the tribal tracts were defined with federal within federal registrations, just as in 2010. So there are a separate set of tracts inside the reservation. Okay? They do also have the tribal tracts are a completely different set of areas compared to census tracts. Okay?
All right,
Did
so
I
Susan, I
make-
tried to do
There you go.
Yeah, I did 2010. So yeah, 2020 is not out yet. So
So now show them how to do the identify tool up there.
okay, so you click on this identify, and from here, then you can click on and find the information from here, and it's gonna show you from the GeoID to the reservation.
So then you'll
Is there a
map.
way to get that into a table rather than visually seeing it on the census data? I want to see a table that I can load.
So you can, when you go to a table, you can then download in the zip file, and it'll show you that GeoID portion. I don't know if it shows you all of the stuff, Susan.
You got us 90% there, because if he's looking for the GIS zip files, you would then take the ID, the GeoID that we have there, and go out to the Census Bureau's Tiger Web and download the shape files to map it against. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but there's so much data. I just wanted to retrieve just certain portions of the table, but
That's a
also
good
GeoID it, because I've
That's a good
downloaded a whole
point.
bunch and there's just so much data that I need to weed out.
Give me a call.
Right.
I have ways.
I was gonna say, no, I'll definitely do the workaround with Susan for sure. But my colleague Alexa is taking down the notes, and that's definitely something to show them a real world example of why some of this stuff needs to be maybe on the table or something that's a little bit more readily accessible. Is that fair?
Do we have any more questions, or are we good? So I want to
Susan, did
thank you,
hear
Kanin,
me?
for
Wait a minute.
stepping in so
Kanin,
fast.
have her in.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm thinking, Kanin, you can hear me,
I can.
but Susan can't.
I can hear
Okay.
you.
Oh, okay.
Did you hear what I just said about the tracks within the reservations?
Yes.
Okay, that's all. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, sorry, we were in the middle of trying to figure out why 2020 data wasn't coming up, and we all know it hasn't been released yet. So I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't acknowledge that. Yep, no, that makes sense. Well, I appreciate you, Susan, for kind of holding our hand through some of this stuff, but you definitely know a lot more about than we do, and you work so hard to get the making sure that all of the mapping and everything is accurate. So I appreciate your help.
You did a great job. Thank you, Kanin.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much. If y'all need anything, please don't hesitate to let me know.
Okay, I will.
All right, take care.
You too.